Hello, today we are going to talk about cloud deployment models. So, whenever we deploy an application, it always starts with an infrastructure stack, which is a list of stuff that the application is requires to run. So, I want you to look in the on-premises side of the stack. So, if you start at the bottom, everything runs from a facility. When I say facility, that could be like any building or any office building or any data warehouse building with power, air conditioning, and security. So in general, one or more physical servers is required to run these applications. So these services are virtualized, allowing them to be divided into virtual machines. So these virtual machines run operating system and may run containers as well. So this application requires data to function, which either creates or consumes. So the application itself is at the very top. So all of this is referred to as infrastructure stack. So if you use this infrastructure stack, there will be certain things that you manage and there will be certain things that would be managed by vendor. So the next part is like I want to talk about the on-premises. So if you look into your left hand side of this slide, that is on-premises. So with on-premises systems that runs in a building that your company owns, your company should buy all parts of the stack and manage them, starting from facilities till the application. You pay for their upkeep and running cost and manage the staff cost and the risk associated with every single part of that stack. So before the cloud computing, what was popular is like it was possible to use a service known as data center hosting, which is the second one, the DC hosted. So this is similar to the on-premises architecture, but when you use data center hosting, your equipment would be in a building that's managed by the vendor. So if you rent what you would do is like you would rent 3 racks from a data center provider and they would provide the building, security, power, staffing, aircon to ensure that the service you paid was delivered. So all of the services model that we use today are it's evolved over the time with more and more parts of the stack being managed by the vendor. So we'll never know what the future comes with. So let's start with the infrastructure as a service. So here what the vendor would do is the vendor would manage the facilities, infrastructure, storage, networking. And you consume the operating system. You as a user will be responsible for managing the operating systems, container, runtime, and application. So the best example for this in AWS is EC2. So the virtual machine is simply an operating system with a set amount of resources. So infrastructure as a service charges a fee based on how many hours a virtual machine that you can that's used by the user, or it could be managed. You would be charged by per second, per minute, or by hour. So when you use the virtual machine, you pay the fee, and when you don't, you don't. So the cost for managing a building and maintaining the infrastructure and hardware and installing and maintaining a virtualization layer are massive. So the vendor must purchase items in advance, and then you have to pay for the licenses and pay for the staff to keep things running while also managing the risk of data loss, hardware failure, and variety of other things. So infrastructure as a service is one of the most popular cloud service models. So as I mentioned before, in AWS EC2, the Elastic Cloud Compute Cloud uses the IaaS service model, which is infrastructure as a service model. The next one is platform as a service. So PaaS stands for platform as a service, and in this service model is mainly aimed for developers who have an application that they simply want to run without having to worry about any underlying infrastructure. So the runtime of this environment is mainly based on how much you consume with PaaS. So if you run a Python application, you are paying only for the Python runtime environment. So you provide the vendor with some data and your application, which is then placed in the runtime environment, and that's it. So the example for this in AWS is the Elastic Beanstalk. And the next one is software as a service. And with software as a service, you consume the application. You have no exposure to anything else. You just pay a monthly fee for consuming the application. You get it as a service. So examples of SaaS products would include like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Dropbox, Office 365, and even your Gmail, Google Mail. So mainly the business consume SaaS products because they are standard known services, and they don't have to have much control of exactly how the email service is configured, but there are almost no risk or additional cost associated with procuring this service. I hope it all makes sense, and if you have got any questions, please leave in the comments. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Bye.